Hi again, everybody. So this one's going to be the Easter Bunny, right? That I did the sketch for, and uh, so remember, I don't know if you've been following along or not, but in a previous video when I said that some people use light boxes, and then I remembered that I had this little I believe, well, it's not probably not even a 9 by 12. It looks more like an 8 by 12. But I said I had a little 8 by 12 light box. So I took my inked rabbit sketch, like so it was drawn in pencil on my tracing paper. Then I went over it with my India ink. So, and then I put it on this little light pad, light box or light pad is what I'm going to call it. And it actually shows up pretty good. This above here is actually the pencil. I was starting to do that before, and then I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I'll do it on video, and then you can all see how well that actually transferred over. I'm not going into all the minute details of this here. I can fill that in on the watercolor, but I just wanted to show you that. See, look at that. What I need to transfer is transferred. And then this is the tracing paper drawing that I had initially made. So I thought that would be a lot of fun. And then I'll show you this little light pad. I don't think it was very expensive. It was one of those, adverts, that you get sometimes. It's a little tricky, but you can see it's not really showing up very bright here. But these are all little, like a gazillion LED lights. It has like a little thing like for an iPad or whatever. There's your on and off switch, and it just plugs into, hang on here. There, so I just hold it, and it actually goes to, right, and then I'll just press now to shut it off. Now I'm not sure if that's residual light, but it usually will show here on the end that it's powered in, and then I just plug it into my computer USB port. So you can see it's got a plastic. It's a really, or not, it's an acrylic. It's not very thick. I think the LEDs are on, these LEDs are really, it's really quite phenomenal, but they're embedded right in the acrylic. And then, of course, the wiring is all in here. So quite innovative. It's very portable, right? But it doesn't work for big pictures, but that's okay. I don't really ever, if I'm doing big watercolors, I usually just sketch myself on it anyway, depending on what it is. But I thought that would be fun to share. Okay, so remember when I had said that I think for the Easter Bunny, we should probably use pastels. So there's the sketch if you've downloaded it, or if you haven't, go to my Facebook page and you'll see it there. If you don't see it there, if you're seeing this a long time after Easter and you still want to do it, just shoot me a text or an email, and then I can send that to you. Okay, this was taken off of a copyright-free photo from online. So I modified it a little bit, and so it's okay to use. It's free to use. I just don't think that you should monetize it anyway. Okay, so just in case the original person will say that's too close to the original. Anyway, it is copyright free. That's when I do all my searches. But so I had these watercolor, this watercolor box. It's by Prima. And for the life of me, I can't even remember where I got it from. I don't know if I got it at Michael's or if it was also kind of like a special thing that was online that I saw, and I thought, why not? Let's go for it. It was and they're pan paints. So I've got them all out here. I actually thought I was missing one because of this card here. I see that I did have a lemonade and a citrus, and a rose. So there's the brown, the chocolate, crimson. That would be well, either that or that one could be a rose. I don't believe that. Well, maybe, yeah, that would be pink lemonade, wouldn't it? And then this is citrus. So now, there I am. I'm good. So there's 12 colors in all, and they're all pastels. So I thought, oh, you know what? This would be a really good palette, and they all fit in here. I just thought I'd take them out because once I water them down, I don't want to get this all gooey in here. And so I'm gonna get them ready, and that's how we're gonna paint our. I usually also too, when I get little pan paints or anything like that, I will actually color the. This obviously needs to be filled in. They weren't really saturated, so this was just taking the color right off the top. But I will take a piece of watercolor paper and I will make my little grids and I will make the swatches from those colors so I can see what they look like once they're watered. Because a lot of times in the pan, they don't always come out the same color. So let me get going here. I'm actually, while I'm getting these wet and ready, I think what I'll do is I'll just kind of put them off to the side here and separate it a little bit. There we go. There's some cool colors here too, like the names. This is called Bumblebee. It's quite orange for Bumblebee. I don't think I've ever seen a bumblebee that's really orange. It's more of a yellow, like a cad yellow. It's funny when you start talking about things in terms of colors. Anyway, so hopefully you can see this. I'm going to see if I cannot bring a little bit more light. But whenever I put more light towards my art, the camera here seems to go dark. I'm not sure why that is. So we're going to probably use our number 4. And actually, you know, maybe I will use the number 10 because I want this to, so I've got my Princetons. I went and actually picked up, I went to the studio today. Oh my gosh, it was so nice to be there. I went out and I went and got some gas and then I went for a drive. And it was crazy because as I'm out there driving and today's Saturday, day before Easter Sunday. And it was crazy. The grocery stores, I drove by grocery stores, you know, like I went out of town into a small town outside of my city, Sarnia. And even in Sarnia, there were lineups at the grocery store. It's crazy. Because they were doing the social distancing. Um, you know, so they were only letting so many people in the store. But I'm thinking, why do you, I don't know. I just don't get it. Why people feel that they have to do their grocery shopping on the weekend when they've got during the week, and then of course they create you know, this situation where they're all standing outside in close proximity. Mind you, I think they had the markers on the concrete so that they'd had their social distance. But anyway, I just decided to go for a drive, and then I picked up one of my flats because I really didn't have any here. This is an artist loft, Vienna. So, but it is a level 3, which is professional artist level. Really nice synthetic. It does do a pretty decent wash. However, I really do like the Princetons. I like the Neptune as well. For synthetics. I've been using synthetics actually quite a bit for a long time now. And one of the reasons why I like flats is that you can kind of get right inside like this. And you can follow along the edges, right? Where rounds doesn't always work that way. So I'm gonna just we're gonna just get this rabbit, and it's not like it's a big painting. Oh, you know what I wanted to do? I forgot, right? We wanted to get these wet and saturated. Get them wet and gooey. I'm not really sure about the quality of these paints. I'm not really well versed on Prima. I haven't even used them. I got them. So these are basically brand new. As you can see, I've never used them. I only just enough to fill out the card. I have no idea why I would order that. Maybe because I thought pastels colors would be nice to have. I don't know. It's always fun. Okay, so I'm a bit of an art hoarder, art supplies hoarder, I suppose. So again, oh, and we'll probably maybe use some of the metallics too. Why not? I'm on a metallic. So I did go out of the lines here. But as I said before, this is just fun painting, spending time together while we're all quarantined. I'm not doing anything for an art show or, you know, competition. It's just I'm being very loosey-goosey. Just goes to, just to show you that anybody can do this. Painting is universal. It's something that we can all do at our own level. And so I'm really going to make this wet, and I'm just going to get it to that saturated level. Now these pastels, even though they look light here, will actually probably dry even lighter. I'm not doing that eye. I'm not getting that wet because I don't want pastel colors to bleed into the eye. I want to keep the eye by itself. And, but yeah. And I'm probably going to go towards the darker colors at the bottom. Just because that's the way I roll. I like to do shadow or do my values at all times. I practice my values where, obviously the further away and into the bushes, it's going to be a little bit of a darker, a darker color. So what I want to do is while this is these are still kind of getting a little bit saturated, I also use a pipette for those who are just coming on board now. The pipette is something that I use quite extensively, make my little puddles, and that's where I get my washes from. This is actually a staining color in there. This one here. So these can be reusable. You can put a little bit of soap and water in it and then shake it out, and they're reusable without, you don't have to worry about that tinting your color because it's just a stain on the plastic. Now, this is my gator board. You can actually, it's Coreplast is another name for it. You can get it at Michael's now. You used to have to, some people have used old for sale signs or something like that. You see the Coreplast, and now thankfully they have it, and you can buy it's double the size of this, and then you can just cut it in half, and then you got two, one for travel and one for at home or whatever, unless of course you want one big one and you're going to be doing your bigger pictures. And yeah, so with this online paint along during our quarantine, I'm just going to look for okay, doesn't matter. All right. All right. Actually, maybe I'll do a little search here on my machine. So it's probably in my felting. That's probably where I got this from, because I'm doing some needle felted Easter bunnies.
I can't connect at the moment.
Oh, jeez. Of course, I picked the wrong thing. Alrighty. Easter bunny. Yeah, it's in my needle felting. Okay, anyway, not that it's important. I just wanted to see if it was there. Just so I got, depending on what I want to do back here. All right. But I'm absolutely going to be making him or her a multicolored. Let's get some of this stuff moved away so I'm not casting any shadow. Have you guys gone and got your cup of tea yet? Mine is Bilberry Oolong, and I get all my teas from Petroleum Mercantile and Tea, which is a fabulous store. Also happens to be my best friend's store, but it really is that's how we met, because I found these teas were available at her store. They're made by the Metropolitan Tea Company, highest rated in the world, especially for their fair trade and all that good stuff. They own their own estates. Okay, so I have to go back over this again because it's already started to dry. Too much talking. Let's get back in. Let's get into the painting, Patty. I'm doing too much talking. All right, so let's get this wet. It's just I was trying to kill some time because I had not pre-wet those pan paints. So let's get that on. So, and I hope you guys are all surviving very well. I at least have a studio that I can go down to. I can't have anybody there, of course, but I can at least go down to it. Okay, so my head is kind of tilted to the side so that I can see the wetness. So we don't want it sopping wet. I don't want to make puddles, pools. So at the top of the head, let's go with some pink lemonade. and just make some drops. So I'm going to go all over the place with this one. Almost looks like it's an orangey peachy color there, but trust me, it is a pink lemonade color. Wish I had some vodka. Vodka and pink lemonade sounds pretty sweet. I have to stay away from the sweets. Okay, clean your brush, get rid of the old pigment, come in with some new. Let's go with this rose. Let's just bring that in. So obviously I'm coming in. See, that's pretty raw. I'm going to make a little puddle here and we'll make that. Okay, so it's very opaque. We'll come in here, a little tuft of the ear, and little rosy cheeks. Come in with some citrus yellow, okay, on the ears maybe. Ooh, that's pretty bright. Okay. I'll leave that for the egg over here. Wow, that actually is a really bright color. Okay, so that egg's going to be yellow on the outside. Then once that's dry, I'll add some more colors. Decorate it. So what I'm going to do here then is I'm going to tease this out. This is a little bit too bright for me. For something, especially if we're going. So I'm dabbing it off on my rag. So these rags over time will get a little stinky. So just put them in the wash and they're back to being used again. It'll lift some of this. If you don't, yeah, you kind of want to be on top of getting that. Otherwise, you'll get a moldy smell from all that dabbing. So I'm going to come back in here again now and come back over that ear. Right, come over the ear to make a really pretty pastel rabbit. Hey, let's go with a little bit of, which one was this one again? Crimson. And just kind of drag it around here. We can make, so I got like a little valley going here, and that's because the water has buckled from being wet. So I'm just going to lift it out. I'm going to tease this down in here. Okay. And as far as the nose and all that, we can come in with a hard, once this is dry, you can kind of come in with a hard. I am not going to go over, well, I better not say that. Well, I better not say that. I was going to say I'm not going to come over it with black ink after, but you never know. I might just do it. So I'm in the Bumblebee now. That's a real pure color too, actually. It's quite nice. It's not that pastel-y to me. All right. So let's keep this up at the head area here. I like this color. Oh, I like the Bumblebee. It's going to make some nice oranges here. Looks pretty patchy on the screen. Let's give it a little bit of tension there. I'm getting lots of little. You hear that? First on the computer, then on my. So that little spray I did made it go outside of there because it wet this paper on the outside. That wasn't always a smart thing to do, especially if you want to contain your colors on the inside. Oh well, we're just playing. I'm going against all my own rules here. So what we shall do now is, let's do this. This is the, let me go pull that out. See what these colors are. Lilac Rain. That's what this one is. Lilac Rain. I'm just going to put that off to the side there so I can water it down. And these are really very opaque. Let's do the Lilac Rain in here. Beautiful. Pastel color. Let's get that. Hey. A little lilac rain on the back side, maybe. See it mingled in a little bit with that bumblebee, and we got a little bit of a, almost like a, what do you call it, that country rose. Okay, so let's go with some of these pastel blues. This one here is called Sea Dream. Yeah, that's pretty. And I think what I'm going to do, okay, I've got my little valley here, this puddle. I'm just going to bring this up. Just lift it up a little bit, and then we can. And that'll still spread out. Let's see. It's all starting to fill in a little bit. Just let it travel, let it do its thing. Maybe bring a little bit of this violet in with the blues. So these will be great colors beside each other because they're along the same kind of color wheel in a sense. So we want to get a little bit darker as we get to the bottom, but I you know, like I said, this is just for play because I want to use all these colors, but then I can also use them in the eggs too, I suppose. So this one here is called Paradise by the Dashboard Lights. Remember that? Do 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 do. We were barely 17 and we were barely dressed. Paradise by the Dashboard Lights. The name is just, it slipped. Oh, I just had it and then I lost it. Oh well. That's what happens when you got too much on the brain. Okay. Okay. So he's looking pretty. I mean, I'm really into this dropping the colors all over the place, eh? Making these mottled messes. But whatever. It's it's very colorful. Let's go in here a little more. You know, I don't know. I'm usually always such a, I'm very cognizant of the colors I use and, you know, carefully choose, and I'll do mock-ups, you know, and then build my painting from that. You know, I said before, I'm a project painter, so I very carefully plan out and get a feel for the subject and, you know, all of that. And I typically will paint things that have deep meaning for me too. That's I like this. I like this lilac green. So, you know, this is kind of like way out of my territory, just being loosey goosey like this and just dropping colors. So, it's really good to do. I'm going to do another video though of something that I do always when I feel like I'm in a little bit of a slump creatively. There's this little thing that I do, and it's actually recommended, I think, by many teachers of creative. See that? I'm just going to do that for the ear. And you know what? I'm going to just very lightly, I'm just going to get this nose area in here, and we can come in afterwards, right? This little pinky nose. This will dry lighter. But I think I would like to get maybe some of this blue up in here. Okay, I like the blue. These are really pretty. And of course, that's going to pick up up to be a little bit darker. And maybe I want to go a little darker. Just, you know, make a little off color here to show that that's where the head is turned, right? And it's, you know, kind of looking off. Maybe that's looking a little too muddy. When you, and I've said this many times before, when you are mixing your opposites, then it turns into a neutral, which tends to be like a grayish color. And neutrals are great. They have their place. But and they're great for a shadow area too, right? So if you are working with your complements and you want to push them off of one another, that's really a good way to do it. I'm going to come in here a little bit with my um, my little bumblebee color here. Maybe just kind of come up a little bit here. I'm just dropping. I'm just dropping stuff in. But this is such a nice color. So we're through this fairly quickly, right? Because it's a small picture. So if you're using pencil crayons or markers, you can do some really nice blends with, let's use a little bit of the chocolate with that bumblebee. Ooh, it kind of gives me that quinacridone color that I love so much. Not. Oh, and I got some daisies here. I forgot to leave that white. Petty, petty, petty. See, I can lift that out. These are not staining colors. So that's okay though, because this is a yellow. At least I didn't go over this with a blue or something, because these are like little white daisies. And I wanted to keep them that way. So let's get some of this green over on there. In here like this, and that'll make that more of a, so you can see that this area down here is dry, so that's going to make a really nice kind of a rough texture in here. I got some daisies here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we can dry that off. Make a fun little Easter. Let's see. Put a little puddle here. And we'll start moving that around. I'm going to use that when I do the ink. Whoop. Blowing on all these little. So look at how nice that looks. So once this is dry now, this area is, but I can see that this isn't. And I don't like that, see, look, I'm just going to rub that away. I'm going to probably come over this with a little water to get rid of that, so that we can make the face a little different. But otherwise, hey, why not? You just leave it. Okay. Yep. So that was a fairly hot, I see a couple of wet spots there, but that's okay. For the most part. So this is now where we can come in with, a finer. That's my Kolinsky number 0, which is what I use for my drifting saint pictures. So, and that's where we can kind of come in and do a little bit of detail work, right? So I'm going to come in. I want to get that water off the shaft. I don't want it dripping down and adding more water. So this is where we can come in and just do this little nose area here. And bring it down. And we probably have a little bit of a pink. Well, let's put a little bit of pink in the eye part here, right? And this is where we can. I'm gonna do the eye like really chocolate brown. Eh? You agree? Let's do. Oh, that's heavy. Okay. So this pan's gotten really nice and gooey. It's not hard. The water I put on it has actually made probably that top 1/8 of the pan nice and gooey. I'm going to leave a little white space in here. Wasn't as big as I wanted. You know that there's always that little animation white spot in the eyes, you know, that makes it look glistening and wet. And that gives it, um, you know, almost like makes it look real. So what I want to do though, let's see if we can't make that even darker. What do we got here that's going to make this even darker? It's more of a red brown. See, did you see that water droplet that came off the shaft? And all of a sudden that's gone from being dry to, let's see, what if I put some of this in? Nah, it just makes it more of a brown. Well, it is a little darker, perhaps, maybe. Oh well, that's okay. Right? Maybe we can kind of come under here a little. Just to, I'd see not actually, you know what, that'd be better to outline it in this kind of a soft brown as opposed to the black ink, right? Would you agree? I am going to just kind of do this sort of thing here because, you know, that these little marks like this actually will indicate that that's fur, you know, just tiny little strokes of mark making like that. Okay. Now, if you wanted to make this a white bunny, then, you know, your challenges will be a little bit different, or your choices, I should say, would be a little bit different because there's no such thing as white, right? So I'm going to come up this with a clean brush now, and I'm just going to swoosh it to get the edges nice and smooth. But that's just to kind of give it a little bit of a dry brush. Make it look a little fuzzy furry or something. Or something. Also, he's going to have little, probably like little spots where the whiskers come out, right? And I could do that after too. I don't really want to do anything right now on maybe just this here. You know, make the little dots for the where the whiskers come out, and then we can take either a very super fine. So I had a little bloom there from where I was trying to lift up that little puddle. But what I want to do here is I'm going to bring this up. I think this one's darker. This one, yeah, this is the chocolate. Let's do that one. Get rid of my excess water. Nice thing with the fine is you're not going to overload. And drip onto your, so it's like, let's bring that eye down, make a little outline here. Now rabbits also have lashes. Don't know that I want to do that so much. Maybe I'll just do it like here. You see? Let's do it there. It's a little bit further away from the eye, and then you get the idea, right? You see that? Our limited pastel palette. Okay, so now let's define the mouth area here. How did I get that so nice and brown again? We add the darker tones, right? Let's add the red. Make that red, because I like that. It's a nicer brown. This is supposed to be the chocolate, but it's almost got a golden or a yellowy base to it, which isn't bad. It's just, I really like this outline better. And then we added a little bit of the blue. These pastel colors are, you know, I work with my own kind of palette, and I'm used to the colors, and you know, I know the relationship they have playing with my color wheel, and which is good. It's good to know your color wheel. I really like the methodology that I think his name is Stephen Quiller. He kind of has his own like 12 color palette, um, which is great marketing for an artist. But a lot of them do, like Graham and the Graham watercolors you buy. That's, you know, artists go out there and they say, okay, how can I make more money? Let's take a CAD yellow medium, and then I'll call it Graham's Yellow Meadow. And yet, when you take a look at the pigments used, they're the same pigments as as CAD. But he might have made just a little different ratio with maybe a Hansel, like a PY 97 with a whatever. Anyway, I think you know where I'm getting at. But that's the way it is. I don't have time for that. I got too many things I want to do. I sit there and go, oh, let's call this Patty Pink and Patty Purple. Anyway, this Quiller guy, he does have he uses a lot of CADs, but with CADs now having such a bad rap and not being used, I'm wondering how he's going to modify his palette to accommodate all those new changes. I personally really like the cadmiums myself, but if you ever see some of this guy's paintings, they're absolutely stunning. He does beautiful, vibrant landscapes. Now, this is actually pretty light in here, and I might want to make that a little bit more bluey for the shadow, right? Let's do that. Yeah, it was this one here, eh? This was the one we called Paradise by the dashboard lights. So let's just kind of go in here, right? Let's kind of make this a nice shadowy blue. And then we can come in on the edges and just scrumble the edges. Scrumble, let's scrumble. And you know what? So you notice I am still using the very small brush. It's a small picture, and this way I'm not going to overwork it, right? I'm restricted to the small brush. I've been known to I always painted big for a very long time. And when I cook like huge meals. Like I made more food. You'd think that I was feeding an army, but that's from years of fellowshipping at my with my church. We did a lot of fellowships. So of course, when you cook, they say cook enough so you can feed a stranger, and I cooked enough to feed many strangers. And so you kind of get used to that, and I still cook large. But now it's just like, oh, good, I'm gonna cook a big batch, and then I don't have to cook for the next 3 days. It's like, then I could just paint, right? Family's fed, and I could just paint. Okay, supper's in the fridge. Just warm it up. Isn't he pretty? Does he look like an Easter bunny? Okay, let's put some more of this blue down here. Just kind of come up. Now, you could do this rather than wet it all out like I did. Another really fun way to do this is redo it, but come in wet onto dry. So your colors will come on hard like this. But then once you place all your colors, then you can just come in with water. Maybe I can do that again. You can just come in with water, drop the water, and then just scrumble and mingle the colors together that way. I've been on this kick of using variegated colors lately and just letting the colors mingle on my page, just kind of seeing where it goes, because I've always been a very controlled painter. I did portraits for years, and I'm just getting back to being a loose painter again in the last, well, actually, it's been longer than that, but in these last few years, especially since I started teaching watercolor, I have really loosened up. I haven't been so tight, and but I do like to get tight now and again because that makes for some pretty outstanding pictures too, depending on the picture. So for some reason that just I don't want to fill that in for some reason. But see, now I'm kind of, now that the base is dry, I can kind of come over and just add some of these powerful colors, you know, like be a little bit more bold with these colors, right? And just kind of mingle them in and just let them go. So I don't, you know, I'm not one of these people that just likes to paint a little Y. I like to, you know, maybe add something else in there a little bit, you know, make that look like there's some shadow work going on there in the nose area. And then of course we've got this little part of an eye coming out here, right? Make that look like that's the eye coming off the side there. Maybe we'll kind of make this a little bit come in here. Notice I'm continually cleaning my brush. I like to come in with clean water. Now, there are painters out there that will, when they're working on a specific project, they've got their palette all ready and they mix the colors right. Oh, it drives me nuts. But I do get it when you're working on a big project and you will use all your colors on a big picture. You will use all the colors on your palette. And so that I understand mixing the colors. Like what I mean by that is if I've got my brush in an ultramarine blue and then I'll go over to my red, right in my red pigment and with while there's ultramarine blue on the brush and go into the red and dirty up the red. Oh my gosh, that just drives me crazy. But I get it on the bigger pictures when you're in the flow, but I can still be in the flow and have my good habits. You know, I call them my good habits because that's what works for me. For someone that is very loosey goosey, there's a part of me that needs to have this. I don't know, this little bit of a height, like you know, clean, pure pigments. I love clean, pure pigments. I just love them. It's just what I like. But so I'm just gonna kind of just put some, you know, like make an indication that maybe, oh, there's where the paw maybe is gonna be there. I didn't really pick all that up from the photograph off the net. I just took it real quick and sketched it really quick and then just leave it at that. Because I mean, how hard is it to really, you know, do a rabbit in the grass? So now we want to make a green, like this is kind of nice, this mixing this green, very springy. But, and this is a basket, so we should probably, I could probably, you know what, I like this here because it's got the right width of the brush for a, you know, a twiny basket, you know, for, you know, the roping. If I went with my bigger one, mind you, look at my number. That's my number 10. Oh, my number 8, my long. I could use that quite successfully here. I'm going to show you. I didn't realize I had moved my page over so far. Let's see, I can do it like this rather than get too close to the edge. There we go. I've got this little maneuver on my camera that'll push it a little bit to the left. So, and then we can kind of come in with some of the shadow color, you know, that sort of thing. Use your browns. Make this into a basket. And I've got, you know, the tip of this. I'm going to make that a little wetter. Go into my dirty, get some red or crimson. All right, let's add a little bit of the blue because that kind of gave us that really nice pastel-y brown. Oop, that's gray. So that's kind of a cool gray, but I don't want it gray. That's not what the basket is. So getting your colors mixed in the right proportions too is part of the game, eh? This is okay because that will give me another color in there, which will leave some white spaces, and then that gives you the idea or the thought that that's kind of a wiry basket. I kind of bring it up here a little bit, and that's going off the page. That's okay. And then, you know, you leave some white gaps and it gives you the kind of a feeling that that's open space, and so that, you know, the viewer can see that that's going to be a basket. I say all the time, if you want it to be picture perfect, then just take a photograph. Representational or likeness is really good. If somebody's looking at your art and they know that's a rabbit, or they know that just by looking at it they can see that that's a flower or whatever, then you've been successful. So right now I'm just kind of making up some darker greens for the grass. I'll come in with the pastel. It's not really the way the grass is. This is called Pool Party. So maybe what I'll do then is I'll make a nice green out of Paradise. I'm going to wait till this is dry and then I'll go over. This bottom is already dry, but this over here isn't. I don't want to mess that up, but I want to make, notice I wiped it like this. I'm going to make a green with Paradise by the dashboard lights. And I'm actually going to use the pastel green that I got here too. Get in there. So it's really making it like an aqua, real aqua color. It's darker than the sea green. And then let's go in with, yeah, look at that. There we go. Look at that beautiful green. Green, green, green. Green, green, green. So my flowers have kind of been lost. And that's my fault because I wasn't paying attention and I didn't block it out. However, what I can do, I'm going to get full on green here. I'm going to come in with a really nice dark green after. This is still wet. There's a flower here facing this way. I added some. There's a one that's kind of come off the page, and this one here is one that's... I'm going to come in and maybe after this is done, see this one here is kind of flat. It'll have a yellowy brown center more than likely. Maybe I'll do them really bright yellow centers, and then that way they'll stand out when I go back. Well, these ones you can't see because it's just the petals. So I'm going to have to come in with like maybe a Chinese white or the gouache. I like to use the Winsor Newton gouache white. It's wonderful. So here's our Easter eggs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do one in lilac. And I'm going to quit after this because I don't like these videos to be too long, and then you could finish it off. And I will upload my finished one. Actually, I will use my finished one as my thumbnail after I load this up when it's done. I just don't like making my videos too long because then maybe you might get bored. Or let's do this one, this color, which is Sea Dream. So these were a lot of fun. These were Primas. I don't know where you can get it. Maybe check it out on, I don't think Michael's carries them. Prima, Prima, and it's all lowercase. You even have like a handy little to hold on to if you're out in the field, right? There's your little mixing here. And it's funny because those colors aren't the colors that are in the palette, I don't think. But you know what? That's excellent because then you can just go here, mix it here, whatever. And it makes for a nice little field. That's if you're into pastels. I don't go out in the field and use pastels. So anyway, color as much as you can, and I've been putting up videos all week, and I was kind of hoping that I would be seeing some pictures. I've had a couple gals, Sherry, you're one of them, who has shown me some of the things that they've been doing, and I just love it. And I would love it if you could share a little more. But anyway, like I said, I don't want to um, make this too long. And oh boy, but I sure love that. Look at that. Great. That's one of my, remember I said before, I love these yellow greens. This is fantastic. I just love that. So I'll play with this and finish it off. I'm going to probably do, just maybe just a wash in the background. Keep all the attention here because this is all in pastels. We don't want to do anything really crazy in the background to take away from all that work you did. So I'll probably outline it a little bit more in this brownie golds or the brown outline and just keep that nice and soft. And then I'll do some designs on the egg and then I'll paint my flowers. Okay, signing off and have a great Easter.